I'm here with one of my favorite people, Amy. And I have to acknowledge this story because my friends say it's the funniest thing, right? So when I first encountered you at the Silver Inn as a KJ, I legit thought your name was KJ with the middle name of Amy. I had no idea KJ stood for Karaoke DJ. And so, like, for the first month, when everybody's like, Amy, I'm like, who's this Amy person? It's not KJ.
That's okay. I have been called worse.
Really? I can only imagine. Mm-hmm.
I can hang with KJ.
Yeah. So, how did you get into being a KJ? Like, how did that evolve?
Well, part of it is my whole life has been music. I was brought up in music. I was classical musician my entire life.
Oh.
And take you in the little studio later. You can see some of my instruments. Because I grew up playing violins and violas and cellos and basses and harps and zithers. And
that's awesome.
And right now I'm actually trying to transition to fretted instruments because I fret the frets, but my friends are, I've got some musician buddies helping me get over my fear of frets. So I could pull up my mandolin and a guitar and stuff. Yeah. So that'd be cool. But I made the transition because I am, much like most of the population, mentally incapacitated in certain ways.
Right.
And I've done the 9 to 5 and it doesn't fit me. And so I wanted to do this because, we're all karaoke junkies to begin with.
Yeah, that's true.
And if I can get paid while doing it, it also affords me the time to explore all my other musical options. So, plus it's just a good time. Are you kidding me? Yeah. You have fun when you come in, don't you?
Every time.
All the time.
Every time. As a matter of fact, the only reason I keep coming back is because the way you run things. Like it's different, right? You bring an emotion and energy that a lot of people don't bring.
Oh, thank you. I get that a lot. People tell me they like my energy and
mm-hmm. It's a huge difference.
Right? I don't know this energy that you speak of because I'm just out there being me, having a good time. When I'm in music, that's just the way it is. Yeah.
That's rare. Prime example, right?
Yeah.
So like there's another place that I used to go to where the KJ would just sit there and just stare at the screen and like would not move from the whole thing. Did not do nothing to sort of engage the audience.
Oh, well,
and it's like there's a huge difference.
Well, here's the other end of that for me is, I have been educated. I am educated.
Yeah.
But my education was purely self-serving.
Okay.
So I went to school and I majored in psychology because I am a crazy, batshit crazy person. And too smart for a therapist. So I figured I'd go and figure it out myself. And I minored
relate to that statement.
And I minored in ASL because my hearing is dissipating. So it was purely self-serving. I did go on and start an advanced degree in music and art therapy. So that's kind of where my gig comes from. Music and art are so healing. And they just have a way of bringing people together that there's just, how could you not just frolic in it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I do.
So,
and music has this way, of allowing me to escape, right? And certain bands and certain musical components, if they really pour their heart into it, and you really tell the difference. It has a way of moving you emotionally that you can't find anywhere else.
Right. And there's always I have music for moods.
Yeah.
Like the other night when I sang some ska for you guys, it was summertime and ska and reggae just screamed summertime to me. So when it was hot, I had to do some ska, but there's always moods. When you're mad and frustrated, there's nothing like just
belting
angry music to scream at the top of your lungs just diffuses all sorts of demons. But yeah, it's really, you have to have music. Otherwise, what kind of soundtrack do you have to your life? Nothing.
Yeah.
That's boring.
Yeah. And the piece of being a KJ that surprised me more than anything else is the pay sucks. Like,
it does. It truly
you
sucks.
have to do this because you love it.
And that is true. It pay is very different across the karaoke spectrum because a lot of people own their own gear and go in and set up, and they get paid for the whole show, so they make hundreds of dollars.
Okay.
That's cool. I work for a company that contracts us out to, so I just get paid a minimum wage, and I really rely on tips to make it over the hump with my bills. But yeah, it is definitely a labor of love.
Yeah.
Because I do so love music. I love my job. I love it so much. I do wish it came with a higher paycheck, but I love it.
So how did you end up in Salem of all places?
Oh, well, this is a funny story because I am a squid kid. I was, born into the Navy, dated the Navy, married the Navy, divorced the Navy. And so I am all over the place. I was fortunate enough when I was growing up that my dad was pretty smart. Once he ended up transferred to Connecticut, he did the whole, I'm going to transfer from the base to the ship to the ship to the base. So we got to stay in Connecticut my whole school.
Oh, that is nice.
That's
rare.
It is very rare. But I had parents who were bi-coastal. My dad was from the East Coast and my mom was from here on the West Coast. And she was from a very large family, like 6 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
And my dad is from like single mom, brother. That's it. Okay. All the uncle, all the family, because it's Italian, all the family out there, But his nuclear family was just him, his mom, and his brother, because his dad died when he was very young. But after being on the East Coast for so long, I guess the decision between my parents was when he retired, they'd move out here. And so that's how we all landed out here. Sometimes I wonder if I want to stay. I miss the East Coast very, very much. It's a totally different paradigm. It's just completely different.
The Pacific Northwest has a way of not being as welcoming overall. People are kind of standoffish.
I've actually had this conversation with a school friend of mine who used to live up the 5 before he went back home to Connecticut.
Yeah.
And we did a comparison of East Coast versus West Coast people by candy.
Okay.
And we landed on that East Coast people are like M&Ms. They're hard on the outside, but once you get in, everything is like you're tight.
Yeah.
Whereas on this coast, it seems like everybody's a Ferrero Rocher. They're gushy on the outside, but you never quite get to the center. And so it was, when I first got here, it was like everybody wanted to be my friend the second they met me, but they weren't really my friends. I even struggle with friends today. I don't really have many. I have a lot of acquaintances and I have bandmates, but it's hard for me to make connections here in the Northwest, where, back home, it takes a while to know someone, but when you do, you are in your family, you're kin for life. And I still rely on some of those relationships. My best friend from childhood just called me the other day. She's in the Netherlands, though. I think I spoke to. Yeah, so it's good to touch base with those M&Ms in my life. Yeah. So and the only thing, honestly, I think that is keeping me here in the Pac Northwest is all my children are here.
Okay. That's a big one.
Yeah, my children and my grandkids are here, and it's hard enough to get to see them all in as it is when they're all right here. If I were 3,000 miles away, I would just be devastated.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So Dad retired from the Navy and ended up back here, and he was miserable because he didn't understand this place either.
Well, and people will tell you, and they'll talk to you, but what they say isn't the reality, right? So they seem to for me, my opinion, when I moved to Oregon, because I come from Seattle,
Right.
and Seattle is way over the top compared to Oregon in terms of the freeze and like the not knowing your neighbors. And so it's just a little bit less so here.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, which is kind of a little bit more fun.
I actually have some friends from growing up that have relocated up in Washington. One of them is right in Seattle. Yeah. And hi, Aaron. And yeah, so I actually like Seattle a great deal because it feels more East Coast to me with like the cultural offerings and such.
Oh, the best food too.
See, exactly. Yeah. It's the only place in the Pacific Northwest where I can get an actual gelato and some gubagol is up at Pike's Place. Yeah.
Yeah. And very near around the corner also is my favorite place, Rumba, which is a rum bar. And they have baked empanadas that are just to die for.
Food.
I know.
Trust me, I was raised Italian, so food.
Yeah.
Food. Yes, I appreciate food.
So in terms of like you being a KJ,
mm-hmm.
like you've been here for a while. You've sort of been doing that.
Yeah.
Like, how creepy are the dudes? Because like I've seen a couple just since I've been there, and I'm like, what's wrong with you, guy? Like, stop doing that shit. And note to dudes out there, if you're listening, stop being creepy. Okay, just freaking stop that shit.
It's funny. Some of them, there are very few of them that get like uber creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I have one of those demeanors, or my affect is such that I just kind of let that roll off. I have a side eye and they look at
Yep.
and so, okay, this can get kind of deep because as a woman,
yeah.
We have been taught to expect a certain amount of that creepy attention.
Right.
And so I know for me, I kind of slough it off because status quo sort of stuff. The ones that bother me the most are the ones that actually come in my booth and like hem me up against my wall where I don't have any room to move. Or that think it's okay to like touch on me. Like, you're not my old man and I do not know you. You have no reason to put an arm around my shoulder, my waist, or nothing.
Yeah.
But I tend to just let a lot of that slide. Like I said, as a woman, we've come to be taught to expect a certain, which
it's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, it is a sad state of affairs, and it's not okay by any stretch of the imagination. And
at the same time, though, it's almost a self-defense mechanism because you have to sort of take care of yourself.
Right. Trust me, I can take care of myself. But
100%. I have no doubt about that,
Amy. But I do like my job and I respect my venues. So yeah, not trying to catch a charge either.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, some of them, like without naming names, I do have a certain one who is a regular that is always a little, smarmy.
Yeah.
And, calling me baby and standing right next to me and, putting an arm around me and, making little comments when he walks by me or kind of, but, I, I've learned to accept that person for the schmarm that they are. So,
Well, I'm going to throw this out there, right?
yeah.
If you need me to talk to any regulars and just tell them to sit down and stop doing that crap, I'm more than happy to. I know you won't accept my offer because you're awesome.
Well, if anything gets really too gross or too, usually, like I said, I just kind of slough that stuff off. But when people get like aggressive, then I will involve the bar and the door. But otherwise, yeah, it ain't nothing but a thing.
Yeah,
it's all part and parcel of the KJ gig.
Yeah.
Whenever you're working in a place with a lot of people that are inebriated, you're gonna get a certain amount of
inhibitions go out the window.
Behavior.
Yeah. And people will do a lot of things on alcohol that they won't regularly do.
Yes, I have had people throw stuff in my face in the booth.
Why?
Well, that one in particular was, it was a Hispanic lady who was upset because her husband had requested a song and it wasn't loading. So she thought that I was trying to humiliate him on purpose when I was really asking him, trying to, through the communication barrier, because I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
To ask him if he had another song that I could load for him because this one wasn't working. Yeah, she came and threw fistfuls of stuff in my face, just calling me every name in the book. I did have a lady get on me at another club one time because we didn't have a song and it was a Hispanic song, and she accused me of being a racist and ended up throwing glassware across the bar and having to be hauled out. And yeah, and I had nothing to do with the available music content on a platform.
That's a good point to put out there too for all of you listening. Like,
right.
Your KJ has no control whether a song is available to sing or not.
That is actually it. Here's, because we work with Carafun. Here's the actual plug. If you want a song,
really,
go on the app. Get all your friends to go on the app.
That's the rub.
Look up the song. They will always have the song, but it's not necessarily playable.
Yeah.
Because they don't have it. You vote for the song. They get enough votes for a song and they will add it to the library. So music selection is on you guys.
I appreciate that. And anybody listening to this, go on Carafun and vote for Pussifer songs, please, for me.
There are some songs that I wish they had too.
Yeah.
So much.
So let me ask you, a question I've always wanted to ask.
What's that?
Is there songs that you just can't stand at this point? You're like, please don't sing this song, people. Or is that even a thing?
Every KJ would say yes.
Right.
There are some songs that you will, just because of the nature of the beast, you will hear
over and over
again. We do generally say that we don't put up a song more than once in a night.
Yeah. So
I only have to hear it that one time the night, but it'll be the next night and the night after and the night after. And typically it's all right, because I can go around and schmooze and just block that out. There are quite a few songs that just get seriously old. But they're also the ones that rouse the bar.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of let them have it. The one thing though is, and I've mentioned this to you, is when you have such a large audience of regulars and you hear people do songs over and over again, you start to, I do. I start hearing those songs in my regulars' voices. It's true. Some are great. Like I cannot hear Pet without hearing you, my friend. And that's a good thing because you nail it. But there's some people.
Oh no, when you're stuck with the wrong. That just hit home.
Yeah, when people sing the same song over and over again and they do it just, hey, but they're having a good time. But that version will get stuck in my head. There are many Guns N' Roses songs that are ruined for me. There are a lot of metal songs that are ruined for me because of regulars doing them over and over again. I can't listen to Sweet Child of Mine ever again without hearing it in a certain regular's voice. And I love my regular, but it's not good.
That's fair.
So, it's a little give and take there on the advantages and disadvantages of song choice.
Like every time I hear Love Shack, I want to just run.
That,
but that's just me.
And any Grease song.
Oh, please no Grease songs.
Any song from Grease. There are songs that I don't like just because of, I don't like to put up because of the length. Yeah. Or we do have a certain regular that it's kind of an inside joke in the bar about the fact that he hardly ever picks a song over less than 5 minutes long. And that's all right. That lets me go out and have a smoke break. But yeah. No, song choices are funny. Because some of them you just look at them and you go, oh, this will be interesting. or hell yeah, they should have been doing this all along. I also love it because it gives me kind of a look at other music that I wouldn't normally seek out myself.
Oh, I know that for
same
here, just as somebody.
And it's fabulous. Like I have a regular on the south end of town who is Hawaiian, and she sings a lot of Kalahai Kai.
Oh,
and
wow.
I love it. Like Cool Down has become like my morning jam. I'm not even joking because I love it. And but that's not any music that I would have been exposed to or sought out myself.
Mm-hmm.
In other circumstances. So that is like one of the wonderful beneficial perks of this.
Like Cowboy Cumbria.
I
actually like that song.
I know.
And I never
you just get into
that.
it.
Yeah. But I never would have listened to that on my own.
Christina, thanks.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Who would have thought that you'd get into some Latina concertina?
Yeah.
It's so far out of my normal soundtrack. But yeah, you get that and you just start bouncing. You can't help it.
It's upbeat.
And she loves it.
Yeah.
And that's what matters. Yeah. She's having a good time. And that is what it all comes down to.
100%. And the thing is you start to sort of expect it, right? And so like when you don't hear that, you're like, yo, Christina, what's up?
You were supposed to sing a song. We all know it. I know. And you throwing slips on my booth going, I'm changing it up. I'm like, no, I got to hear Pet.
But see, then I get harassed by the other patrons. Because they're like, you sing the same song over and over again. Like, why didn't you increase your repertoire? And it's like, but I just enjoy singing this one song. It's like, it's within my range. It's like, I like it.
Well, and sometimes too, it gets to, it releases an emotional thing.
Yeah.
It is like exercising demons sometimes. Yeah. And I have been known to say that.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes I'll just have to get some corn out of my system. It is like purging all of the ick.
And speaking of that, you have one of the most unique voices I've ever heard. Right?
Thank you.
It's awesome. Like to hear you sing, it's something else.
Oh, thank
So
you.
like, and I know you're like sort of working on a band.
Working on a couple of bands is kind of tricky because of the sort of musician pool that is in the local area.
Okay.
Like one of my projects, we have literally run through 4 guitarists in 6 months.
Wow.
So we're still trying to form, and so, but yeah, the problem is that the pool in this particular area, I would say, is a good 85% blues.
Okay.
And
and that's a totally different sound structure than rock.
well, not totally, because rock was born out of the blues.
Okay.
So, but I don't want to. I can be a blues singer. I'm a very good blues singer. But you know what? It's not my bag. It's not my pocket. Besides, we have a wonderful blues artist here in the area, Nikki Jones. I'm going to plug you right now, girl. I love you to the end of days. Nikki Jones, catch her anytime. You want blues? Go see my girl. But I'm not the blues girl. I'm the rocker bitch, and trying to pull musicians that A, get along,
Okay,
B, play well together, and C, do not want to play blues, is kind of.
Oh yeah, because like you're talking about as a singer, it's in your pocket. But then if you're a blues guitarist, then blues is in your pocket, and you're not happy playing something other than the blues. So it's only a temporary, not a
Yeah. So
that makes things complicated. And
it
weird.
makes things very complicated. Like former band that I still jam with, had a brilliant guitarist, but I love him to the end of the days, but he's so hyper fixated on all of the sounds, got to get the sound right, and all of his gear and stuff. And so, doing a song takes the time of 3, and that's it, and, which is great for just getting together and jamming, but it's not great for a gigging band.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's find the one that works, and then it doesn't, and then so it's all a little pick and choose and up in the air right now, and we're going through guitarist woes with with the band as it is. So any rock guitarists want to come join a kicking band, come and see me.
You hear that, Kirby?
Ooh, who's Kirby? Kirby, do you play guitar?
Kirby can't play guitar. His son, however, is freaking amazing. The kid's like 16 and can play all of the hits and all of the solos, and like it's just like like a young person into guitar, but he lives in Hawaii.
It's just one of those things. I have a dear friend of mine who lives down in the Springfield, Crestwell area, and he is just an amazing guitarist. I mean, amazing. And he picked up a guitar out of grief when his mother died when he was younger, and just threw himself into that guitar, and out of it just came the most amazing talent. And it's funny because he's a big dude with sausage fingers that you would never think could fly over a fingerboard the way they do. But he's, it's something that, especially when it comes from something like his music came from his grief, and it just grew into something else, and that just makes it even more special. And that's Brant Nyberg. Check him out on YouTube.
Yeah, please.
He's amazing.
So what's the gig environment like? Because I would imagine there's not that many gigs in Salem either. Right?
That's the thing. There are a few venues in Salem, and not too awful many, but most of them are either bars or like hole in the wall venues. Like they've got the Space, which is literally
Right. It's just
a
a space.
space, just the space.
That's all it is.
And it's tiny. It's a space. And places like the Underground at Blast Off and
that's another tiny space too.
yeah, Venti's basement and stuff like that. Small, even Halfpenny is a very, very small stage. So if you got anything more than a 4-piece, you guys are on top of each other. A lot of the gig that we found is in summer and festivals
Okay.
and you get to travel the valley and the coast and stuff like that. So, not being in Salem
Yeah.
per se, because we are woefully shy on really kicking venues. We kind of lost that when Duffy's went down. Duffy's was kind of the venue in town.
And that was because of COVID, right?
I don't know.
That's fair.
It had changed hands so many times, and then it just finally changed the right hands and went from Duffy's to the Honky Tonk. And they still serve as a music venue, but it's more niche now than
it's pretty much straight country at this point.
Yeah. So back, Michael Graves and Cheap Trick aren't going to play there anymore. Yeah, Michael Graves and Cheap Trick played there.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. My kid, I've got pictures of my kid meeting Michael Graves there. That's like his musical hero. Awesome. So yeah.
That's unfortunate. Awesome that you had that experience. And unfortunate others don't get to share it.
I know. We mourn. There's so many of us that mourn Duffy's.
Yeah.
Not that the Honky Tonk isn't a wonderful place for country music, and they have great steaks, by the way.
Yeah. I've heard great things.
Yes, it's just a wonderful place. It's thing. Just
that's it.
Yeah, it's just niche.
Yep.
So yeah, and but that a lot of us mourn that because it used to be like the Restorama was always held there. You'd have all the car shows and your little pinup chicks and bands and bands and bands and bands. We used to even do karaoke there too. That was like Dora's Throne for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something that a lot of us mourn even to this day. But that would be a thing. That would be a thing to get a really cool kickin' music venue here in Salem. It would.
The call is out there, y'all.
Yes, do it.
Please.
I know so many musicians who would just love
a venue.
A cool venue in Salem.
And at this point, it would be there is enough out there that somebody could.
Right?
Yeah. There's a lot of empty storefronts in Salem.
Sure.
Right now.
Yeah, right now there are.
Has any? So that's a question.
What's that?
So like along the way, so like you were in the COVID times, right? Were you still a KJ when like COVID hit?
I was a KJ prior to COVID. During COVID, we were all shut down, obviously. And what
the heck did you do?
Well, I did a couple of odd things, like going and cleaning out a bar to reopen it as something else, and just busy stuff and making music. Like we were doing I don't have FaceTime, but video calling and stuff, doing music jams, me and some of my friends, just so that we wouldn't go insane. Because it was the social isolation of that was very, very hard. And even coming out of COVID, insofar as karaoke, it was a lot of stop and start. And there were a lot of bars that, they really wanted the karaoke back. I literally went and did one show at a bar and they're like, oh no, this is too much. We've got to So we had like one show after COVID, and then they shut it down for another 3 months. So, people were really nervous. Not the singers, surprisingly.
Yeah.
The singers did not care.
Yeah.
They did not care. But I was looking out for them. I sanitize everything.
Yes. You go above and beyond what a lot of people would do, even now.
Yeah.
And it's appreciated.
Well, cold and flu season is no joke, and it will take out a bar faster than anything else. It's just one of those things. But yeah, the singers were not at all worried about coming back after COVID. The bars were, and the owners, rightfully so, were uneasy. So trying to keep numbers down, but karaoke is back. Everybody's at the bar.
Yeah.
Which is the reality of Salem.
Now, have we recovered?
Oh gosh. That's a hard one to say because things are not identical to how they were before COVID.
Right.
So, like before COVID, we had 5 and 6 hour shows. Now we have 4 and 5 hour shows, which definitely cuts into my income as well.
So
I would love to have that back.
All right. This is where my autistic brain gets in the way sometimes.
That's okay.
Because, logically, that makes no freaking sense. To go from 5 hours to 4 hours. What?
I don't know the particulars. I don't know if there were pricing changes or if people.
That's fair.
Because of all of the economy and everything. So it could be a pricing thing. It could just be people are still a little leery because COVID is still around.
Yeah.
And now we've got bird flu on the East Coast making the jump. Yeah, it's made the jump to humans. So there's a lot of stuff out there to worry about communicable sickness and illness wise. But yeah, I find that hard, especially though the size of the show. I find it hard the most because like a 4 hour show, like the one that you're used to, it's like we're just kicking into gear and I gotta shut stuff down. And I'm like,
I feel that all the time.
Yeah.
It does feel like it's like we want to go like a little more.
Yeah. It's a true thing because it's just one of those things. It does have an ebb and flow through the show and just feels like we're just like hacking it off at the end. But
so how do you recover in the middle of a show? So let me throw a scenario.
Okay.
Right? So things are happening, then somebody throws in a really, really, really slow song that sort of dampens the mood. How do you sort of help to sort of bring that level back up? Now, and I've seen you do this, and I don't even know if you do this, but
really, I don't really have any plan or stratagem for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I must have just been in this gig so long that I just do stuff naturally now. Yeah. No, sometimes the slowness, when something drops down, it's nice because we have a lot of dancers at this particular club that I see you at. So that sometimes is nice, and sometimes to counter that, at the end of that rotation, I'll just put on a dance song or something to, bump it back up a little bit. But, really it's not a thing that you can really control if you have a set rotation and song choices. It's just something that goes. I just keep my energy up, and because even if it's a slow song, they can still perform very well and have a good time. And I love when singers get dancers out on the floor. That's awesome. And that always makes me happy.
I'm still waiting for that to happen, but then again, I don't sing the song to dance to. So.
Are you hearing that, guys? We need to form a mosh pit around Sean next time he sings.
Please don't. I don't want the liability.
It's all right, Sean. Yeah, but no, we've had some mosh pits out there. It's been great. You just we've had craziness out on that floor. It's always a good time. Always a good time. And prom night was great.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. I still feel I was screwed. But actually, let me take that back. I feel the dude in the gold.
He was screwed.
He was screwed.
Yes.
He should have won.
He totally should have. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure we had some ballot box stuffers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that.
Election fraud even in karaoke.
I'm right. And yeah, I had a lot of people very upset that wasn't on a Saturday night. So we're going to have to do a Saturday ball soon. I don't know if we'll do it.
They were upset because it was on a Saturday?
Because it wasn't on a Saturday and they wanted to come because we did it on a Friday night.
Friday with kids and all that other stuff.
Yeah. So we'll probably have a Saturday night event. I don't know if it's going to be like a zombie prom or we'll wait till winter and do a winter ball. But
that would be fun.
Yeah, we got to do some beach parties. We got Comic-Cons coming up. We're going to do supervillains versus superheroes. See if I could get my hands on some con tickets for prizes and have a good time.
Well, if you ever do a cosplay contest, I know a cosplay group that would probably show up.
Right on. See, it's always fun. It's always fun. I like to have big event shows when we get to do stupid stuff. Cause you know me, I'm the tutu chick.
Yeah.
I will rock a tutu just because I feel like it.
Yep.
So, anytime that I can encourage my fellow patrons to come in and be goofy with me is always much more fun. It does something to the mood of the place when everybody's just being goofy.
And it allows more space for people just to have fun and communicate.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Cause like I'm a social nightmare, right? Like I really struggle at like making first contact and like making friends and like actually talking to people. And so like when you have something like that, it gives me space.
You are going to make me cry because you are absolutely one of my favorite meet cutes.
Really?
Yes. Because because if people don't know, the venue that I'm at, it has a separate room for karaoke and then there's a bar in the back. Mm-hmm. And from my corner, I could see you in the not karaoke room and I could see you just taking in everything that was happening in there. Yep. And I watched you watch us and I did. And then you came up and you were so worried about offending me or stepping over some social line by asking about mic use. And trust me, I wish a lot more people would ask about mic use. We have some people that think that they need to fillet my mic in order to sing. And
yeah, well, there's sometimes where I don't even need a mic.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And then ever since then, you've been right there. And you even sent me a message after that night apologizing for your autism. And I'm like, dude, nothing you did was inappropriate or over a line, and I'm glad you're here.
I appreciate that. And I remember the first time I came there, I was way overdressed. I came right from work. I'm like, let's just check this place out. And I'm like, okay, if I come back, I need to come back wearing jeans.
Yeah, it's casual crowd.
I like that. I admire that. And the reason I admire this particular spot too is that the group of people that are the regulars, they're sweet people.
Oh yeah.
They're just really sweet people.
Yeah.
And I don't find that in other places.
There are some places, but not a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
Usually when you get into a bar and they have their regs, they're like, we own this bar, what are you doing here, sort of. But no, there are a few places, and this one, the Silver Inn, is one of those places. Yeah, we're going to push that because they're awesome, the Silver Inn.
They are. actually.
It's like it is like family. It's like a big family reunion every time you go there because everybody is nice. They're inviting. The bar staff is familial, and yeah, it's a wonderful place.
And we have a group of us that are there. We text each other, we check in on each other, and it's we
You
help each
know,
other in a jam.
it's funny. Let me tell you this is we had a security guard at the door who used to work in the booth
Yeah.
many years ago, and he was actually complaining about how boring it was to work the door there because nothing happens. I'm like, sorry, guy, we're just having fun. Ain't no stuff going down
Nope.
here. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, the few minor things that ever go down are like handled with a quickness.
Yeah.
So,
very professional, very courteous.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, he was bored because there was nothing for him to do at the door except check IDs.
And then, and the other question I have in terms of the dynamic between like the bartenders and the KJs,
Yeah.
right? Because I see the dynamic at the Silver Inn, which is a good one.
Yeah.
Like you feed off each other, you're welcoming to each other. I would imagine that's not necessarily the case everywhere, though. Right?
It's not. It really depends on the staff, and the KJ.
Yeah.
There have been places where I've worked where it's been like family. Like literally, I worked at a place where my daughter was on the bar staff, and the staff was like family to me. And and there's some bars where, unfortunately, the bar staff doesn't support their entertainment, so it can get a little dicey. So it's not, you feel like you're working overly hard just to be secure, sort of thing. And that's a shame because you have a different atmosphere, a different clientele, a different just different spirit in the place when your bar staff is welcoming and kind.
Yeah.
And kind.
Yeah.
Let's just say that, because
yeah, I talk about that a lot on this podcast.
Service work is a lot of times thankless. I'm not even going to argue that it ain't, but you have to be welcoming, or I mean, come on.
And I think that goes both ways for patrons and bar staff too, right?
That is true, because there are some, in fact, I just had a little discussion with one of my bartenders about tapping credit cards on the bar. And I'm like, I'm sometimes guilty of spinning mine because I fidget, but I would never do that in impatience at a bartender. Are you kidding? They have so much to do.
Oh, so you mean like people would be up there and like tapping, like, take my card, here it is. Well, that's rude.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's rude.
Yeah. There's a certain amount of entitlement that you encounter in the patronage of some establishments, let's say. And that's probably the hardest thing to deal with, is people who feel that they are entitled to have you bend over and kiss their ass.
Like, why can't you put me up further in the rotation or give me an extra song?
I have people that try to bribe me to put them in, like right now. I've had a woman actually sing a song, try and hand me $20, go put me in for this, like wanting to sing immediately next. And I'm like, I've got 7 people who have not sung at all tonight. I'd like to put them up first before you get up again. Yeah. And but they'll like it. I'm like, okay, they'll like it when it happens 7 songs later. Yeah.
And really what it boils down to in that regard is just a level of patience. Like, can you be patient enough to wait 7 songs?
Yeah.
It's not too much to ask, if you ask me.
No. and I can understand sometimes like prom night when we had 37 people in the rotation. That was a 2.5 almost half hour rotation.
Yeah.
Patience is hard, but I try to like throw group songs or stuff in there so that there's some breakup sometimes so that people can get up and feel like they're still participating while they're waiting to sing their song. But yeah, the patience is the thing, the entitlement and the patience. Some people just think that you are there to lick their boots.
Right.
And I do not get paid enough to lick boots. I'm so sorry.
Well, I guess I always have a hard time on the flip side of that and understanding why people think they're entitled to that kind of thing, and I know there's no answer. Like, I know that, but
Yeah.
it's got to get old.
Well, that you just end up getting into socio-psychological dynamics of.
That's a good question.
It is.
I would imagine your degree has helped you quite a bit.
You have no idea. You have no idea. And it makes it a lot easier to deal with what is recognizably behavior and what is just someone being a dick tonight.
Yeah.
So
because you can tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of what people would deem special needs that come to my shows.
Yeah.
Like there's at your table, there's that guy that comes to my show just to listen. They
Yep.
bring him there just to listen. And
Yep.
and he's like, I love him. He's my rocker pal.
I love him to death.
and my blind folks that come in and I just love them. And there were a lot of DD that I had at a different club that, I just want to make it a safe place for everybody to sing and have a good time because that's what it's all about.
Here's the difference though, right?
What's that?
So when our patron who can't see comes into the bar, you go about it in a different way, right? So I'm an advocate for disabilities, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I do. I'm doing this podcast when I'm doing work. Like, I advocate for people with disabilities.
Perfect.
And there is a huge difference in how you approach somebody who is blind when you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Come up, take my arm, let's lead you to the right place, but it's also like treating them like they're freaking human beings.
Oh, she's awesome.
She's amazing. So
can I tell you?
I love that lady.
Can I tell you this? At a different bar, she and her companion came in, and she was up singing, and one of the other regulars at this bar walked in front of her and ducked so that she could see the screen. And I looked at her and I said, she can't see, right? And she started laughing because this is a regular and she knew this other gal too. And we just had a good laugh. And when I went to do my little pivot walk with her at the end, I'm like, there were people ducking in front of you to make sure that you had a clear view of your screen. And she just laughed and laughed and laughed. So we have fun with it. And it's always, what's the big deal if I have to go over and ask her what she wants to sing instead of waiting for a slip? And what's the big deal if I have to go and collect her so that she can safely get up to the stage? It's not a thing. It's not a thing.
And the part that people don't understand is that it is a big deal to the other person.
Right. What I mean is it's not a thing for me to do that. I mean,
but most people wouldn't go that far even. Right. And I even hate to see it, but I see this happen see this play out time and time again. Yeah. And so I just wanted to acknowledge because that's something like, not a lot of people do that.
Well, I just want everybody to have a good time. That's all.
Yeah.
And she is a delightful person with a beautiful voice, and her companion is so much fun too. So,
I love both of them.
They are wonderful.
I'm trying to get her to sing something with me, so maybe someday. But...
Maybe. Mm-hmm. You gotta watch out though, because her companion is fiercely protective of her. Yeah. He is there to be her protector, and they are wonderful. I love
They're
that.
amazing. Everybody there is amazing.
Yes.
Mhm.
I have very few problems with anybody there. So, and the ones that we do have problems with, they get managed.
Yeah. Well, we've been at this for an hour almost.
Really?
Yeah.
We were just chitty chatting for an hour. Holy cow.
I know.
So I don't know if I've given anything enlightening or.
Are you kidding? This has been awesome.
the enlightened KJ.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have a name for your bands? Because we had the band name contest.
Yeah. Actually, we have not landed on the band name because it has landed between Wild Orange Soul and Baddest Egg.
Baddest Egg and
Wild Orange Soul.
So how about Baddest Egg with the Wild Orange Soul?
Baddest Egg just brings to mind, for me, it brings to mind images of Veruca Salt falling down the egg thing.
Yeah, that would be a hard one to get over.
Yeah, and that's just the picture that I have in my head.
Yeah.
Now the other guys, we're just Abby Normal, and we will always be Abby Normal.
Okay, what's Abby Normal?
If it's a reference to the old Gene Wilder,
okay,
Dr. Frankenstein, but we always joke that I'm not Abby, and they are definitely not normal. So, so it's perfect.
That's my own personal philosophy too.
Yeah, we landed on that because the dirty old men that I play with in that particular situation, our other option was Low T and the Whisker Biscuits, and so we we were joking because we're just weird. Like I said, they're not normal, and and so we opted on Abby Normal instead of Low T and the Whisker Biscuits.
I think that's awesome. But part of me is like, also, that's kind of an awesome name.
Right. We can go on the AARP circuit.
You're going to be playing assisted living centers all over Oregon.
I have a new mission in life. Oh, mercy.
I think that's the best way to wrap it up.
Perfect.
Oh, I adore you, Amy. You're
I
awesome.
love you right back, Sean. Don't ever call him Shane.
Yeah, right? And we're so going to do this again.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I love it.